All right, good afternoon. Going to recap Oklahoma today. We'll get into Baylor when we meet again on Monday. We weren't good enough in any phase on Saturday. Credit Oklahoma. I think they're one of the best teams in the country. They're ranked in the top 5 for a reason. We got an up-close look at what it's going to take to get to the top of this conference. And kind of recap that game, talk special teams first, the negatives, block punt. You know, we've talked about that when we actually blocked one against North Carolina State. Low probability of winning if you get a punt blocked, and we did that. Poor communication. And our protection was poor really all day. We'll make some changes there. We'll get better. I thought we did a poor job in the kickoff return game. We blocked them well. Our returners were not very good. And we gave up a bunch of hidden yardage by not catching punts. That's something that doesn't show up in the stat sheet, but we lost 20-plus yards of field position by not catching punts. We got to do a better job on that. The positives, I thought Staley, 3 touchbacks. And our kickoff coverage unit has done a good job. I think we're nationally ranked in that. Our punt coverage team, led by George Campbell, I thought they were elite, holding C.D. Lamb to really one return. And then we blocked well. Like I said, on kickoff return, our returners didn't do a good enough job taking advantage of those blocks. Defensively, negatives, we had 0 takeaways, too many explosive plays, 5.2 yards per rush. Thought the positives were we were good on third down. And Oklahoma had been one of the better teams in the country. I think we held them to 2 of 7 on third down. We forced more punts than they had done, and we held them below several of their averages. You know, and offensively negatives, we didn't make enough competitive plays, 50-50 balls, one-on-ones in space. The positives, we were better on third and fourth down. We didn't have any turnovers, and I thought our pass protection was solid. You know, but injury update: Josh Chandler will be out for about a month. I'm not ready to say how many games that's going to be. He will be out for the Baylor game for sure. I think it'll be close to a month. We'll see how many games that's going to be. A lot of it will depend on how he does from a rehab standpoint. I do anticipate Keith Washington being back in this game. Diamante Lindsay is going to start working this week and be back. We're hopeful that he'll be back. And then Quandarius Qualls is the other one that got hurt during the game. We'll see how he progresses this week. I would say he'd be questionable at this point. We sit here on a second bye week, kind of a mini bye week. I don't guess it's a full week. We'll practice Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday this week. Give them off Friday. Start a normal game week on Saturday. So with a midweek game next Thursday, Saturday will be technically a Monday, Sunday a Tuesday, and so on. But it's a great opportunity for us to hit the reset button, kind of regroup. We've got a 5-game season left. And the key in our main focus, and I talk to our staff and I'll talk to our players when we see them this afternoon, is really it's about making marked improvement as we go through the rest of this. And that's something I thought we had done really since the Missouri game up until the second half. You know, second half was not good, especially the third quarter was nothing that we want to be about in this program. But I think we had a really good mindset yesterday. I think our seniors have a good mindset about finishing in the right way. We've got a great number of young people that have got a lot of hope and a lot of energy. And so looking forward to getting back on the practice field today. So with that, open up to questions.
Neal, you shuffled some defensive guys around for the Oklahoma game. Now one of those is hurt. Maybe you get one back. Qualls is questionable. So do you reshuffle? How do you handle that now going into the next game?
Yeah, well, we're running out of bodies. Now, the good thing is if Keith comes back as we anticipate, we get Keith and Bailey to come back, and they'll start at corner. Nick Troy, he's shown some good things in the 2 games that he started, so he'll continue to play. At safety, we'll be able to play Norwood there and continue our rotation, which basically Norwood, Sean Mahone, K.J. Martin, and then Guzman's played a little bit the last 2 weeks as well. I thought he played well in the game on Saturday. And then at linebacker and bandit, really we've got to make some decisions over the next 24, 48 hours. We haven't done that yet, but we're going to have to – we got to make some of those decisions. You know, Shane Campbell, Tonkery, you know, Zach Sandwich is somebody that hasn't played a lot for us this year that's probably going to have to get ready. And then we'll probably look this is probably going to be a game where Jared Bartlett, you know, could be a factor in.
Halfway through pretty much. What have you liked that you've seen, and what are some, I guess, your biggest concerns in year one?
Yeah. I think I'll start with negatives, then I'll hit the positives. I think we haven't been consistent in really any phase for an entire game yet. Some of that can be due to youth. Some of that could be due to opponents, whatever. But our consistency hasn't been what you would want it to be as a coach. You know, as far as our red zone defense has not been very good. We haven't got as many takeaways defensively as we traditionally would. Offensively, our inability to run the football, our lack of explosive plays have been our Achilles heel. Positives-wise is I think that some of the foundational pieces that I think are critical to build championship-level programs, I think we're establishing. I think we're playing at a high effort. We're not always not playing well, but our effort has been at a high level. I think we're physical at certain positions, not across the board where we want to be, but we're definitely physical, and so I think we're establishing those. I think we have high buy-in from the kids in our program. Outside we did not play very well special teams-wise. In the game on Saturday versus Oklahoma, that's the first time we've really lost the special teams battle, and we lost it considerably. It wasn't close on Saturday. Up till that point, I think that's been a position of strength for us. And I think that you see in the young people that are playing, first and second year players, you see significant improvement from the first opportunity they've had until even some of those, even though the game didn't go anywhere like we wanted to on Saturday, I thought those guys had some positive moments.
Hey, Neal, you've talked a couple times about kind of, I think the word is reinvent your offense every week. I don't know how dramatic that is. Is it like a full-scale new piece of paper and draw something new up? And does that have any impact on maybe not being as advanced or developed as you sound like you aren't in certain areas?
Yeah, what I should have said probably, Mike, is we're trying to reinvent the run game. I'm pleased, and I should add this, Alex, with your question. Our pass protection has, since the Missouri game, has been really sound. Our quarterbacks have not taken very many hits since that game. So when I talk about it's really in the run game. It's just trying to find the right mix. We have struggled, and y'all have written about it. Y'all have asked about it. I haven't denied it. It's obvious. I mean, look at any statistic and tell that. So that's where we really tried to recreate ourselves, Mike. The concepts from a pass game, the protections, the play actions, those have always we're running the same stuff. We're mixing up the motions. We're mixing up the presentation from a formation outlook, where we're trying to piece things together in the run game, and it's the thing that you go back to as coach, that you're always what's enough game planning to give yourself an opportunity, all right, but what's too much where your kids don't have confidence in what they're doing, so you're always kind of taking that line. You'll hear coaches talk about a lot in preseason camp, is what's too much contact and what's not enough contact. It's kind of the same kind of dilemma.
7 games in with recruiting, have you had to alter anything that maybe you thought was
I think we're going to have to go we're going to have to add a couple more DBs to the class than maybe we originally thought, just through some attrition. So I think that's the only thing. From a positional standpoint, is we need to add and probably at least one older defensive back, and maybe 2 even older.
Junior college players look more?
We're not going to wholesale. I think that we got some really good relationships junior college wise, and a lot of these kids we're on from a junior college standpoint, we've got relationships that go back to when those kids were in high school, which is beneficial. And you'll see that a lot when we sign junior college kids. There's going to be where you have previous relationships with them. But we're not going to wholesale and just start signing a bunch. We're going to build this through high school development, and then add the right type of kid through the graduate transfer process or through junior college.
One of those guys, Drayshawn Miller, is he making any progress as far as?
Yeah, he's got it. I'll update you more on him on Monday. He's got an appointment. I think it's actually this morning and so we'll have more information on him. He's doing better. He is starting to move more, and I'm optimistic that we'll see him at some point this year.
Can you discuss what you're going to do, or what you have in mind quarterback-wise for the rest of the season?
Yeah, Austin Kendall's our starter. I thought, talk about his play on Saturday. I thought he played well the first half. I thought second half he did not perform as well as he needs to, and he understands that. I thought the first half he really handled all the noise around that game pretty well. You know, a unique situation. He's got to go back and play his home team in their stadium, and I thought he threw the ball really well. We had 3, maybe 4 drop passes in the first half, but I thought he made good decisions. Second half, I didn't think his decision-making was as good. He missed on several deep throws that we needed to hit to be competitive in that game. But he's our starter, and that's how we'll move forward.
The formation you used with Trey Lowe in the first quarter, do you plan on using either that one or more like specialty formations?
Well, we've kind of used about every formation that in the books. I mean, we've given defenses a lot to prepare for. Are we going to use Trey Lowe? We got to be more productive when we're in those sets. You know, we had a couple clear runs. We didn't get as many yards as we'd like to in those sets. I think Trey's getting better. You know, it was good to get him in the game. You know, we had hoped to probably use him a little bit more. I thought he had one really nice run late in the game, and he was able to get a completion. So I think that'll help him from a confidence standpoint. It's going to be week to week how much he's involved.
Neal, did Jarrett travel with you?
Yeah, he traveled.
Just curious. It's unusual for a guy who's not playing and hasn't.
Well, I thought it was so. First of all, we don't have as many guys that are healthy to travel, and so I thought it was important for him to go and be in that venue and get a feel for Big 12 atmosphere at a high level, and because we have aspirations that he can be a really good player for us, and he's going to have to perform, you know, in those venues if he wants to be a high-level quarterback. I thought he might bring us some good luck, too. His brother, we won last time. His brother was starting quarterback there, so how about that?
Have you thought about playing him a game or two down the stretch, and others that you plan on redshirting?
Yeah, so
playing them as well?
Yeah, those things are all on the table this week, and whether we'll play him or not to be determined. But we will take advantage of the rule. And it won't necessarily just be the last 4 games of the season, especially at some of those areas where we have some injuries. I talked about Jared Bartlett earlier. We will play some of these guys that have 4 games that we want to redshirt. We'll take advantage of that rule. The guys that are ready. We're not just going to play them, but the guys that are physically, mentally ready to play.
Any update on Sean Ryan?
So he's improving. He's going to start running this week. He won't play against Baylor. And then after that, we'll be able to update it. But I am hopeful and I'm optimistic that he will return for us this year.
What
Barring
about
any setbacks.
the job that Ryan Nealon's done just in general since you've been here, and how has he helped the offensive staff?
Yeah, Ryan, he's done a great job. He's got good experience. Obviously cares about this place and a great deal. He's developing as a football coach. Schematically, he's done a nice job. He has some really good. He does a good job getting us ready for he stays a week ahead. So he does a good job getting us ready for that opponent, for our next opponent, as far as previewing those guys. He had some good thoughts on third down. You know, I think one of his ideas was something that he had. We sprung for a touchdown. So he's making positive impact here.
Have the last 3 third quarters, how much has been just bad luck? I mean, when you look back at everything that's happened.
I think you kind of make your own luck, honestly. If you go back, and we can just kind of talk through them if you want. If you go back and watch the Texas game, I thought that's a game they were in it that we were really capable of winning. And we had a couple third downs we didn't make. We had a 50-50 ball that we didn't make offensively. And then we didn't take advantage of the turnover. So I don't think it was bad luck. I just think we didn't make enough plays. Like defensively, we played extremely well in that third quarter. Come back Iowa State, defensively until the first drive of the third quarter we didn't play very well. Then we strung 2 or 3 stops in a row together. All right. offensively, we were just hamstrung. They were better than us that day, and that's kind of where we're at. Come out here the third quarter, and I thought this was in the third quarter, and we were able to regroup. So it's not something that I'm necessarily concerned about. But I thought the third quarter, Oklahoma overwhelmed us early. And so they went down and scored really quickly, made it 35-14. Then Ali makes the big catch. It gets called back, and then we miss on 2 deep balls. You know, Sam had an opportunity. I was trying to get him back going early because he had a hard time in the first half. And so we ran a double move. He's open. We miss it. Then the play after Ali, we throw another shot down the field, and we overthrow him on that one. And those were 2 opportunities where we won, where he won. We protected. We just didn't connect on the throw. And that was an opportunity to make it 35-21. And I believe if we connect on those, I'm not saying we're going to win the game, but it doesn't get away from us right there. Okay? And so when that got away from us, then I felt like for the first time really all year we kind of lost our mojo a little bit. All right? But credit to the staff and credit to our kids, we came back and finished the game. You know, that could have got really ugly. I mean, it was 49, right? It was 49-14 at some point, and we were able to hang in there where it didn't get any worse. Okay? Ends 52. But I thought our kids lost their way a little bit, and then some things compounded. You know, we drop a kickoff return. You know, we block a punt protection wrong. And then it got ugly. And so we've got to do it. We're going to do some things different in practice this week as far as coming out after halftime. You know, because things are so cyclical. If you go back and we went, I think, from NC State to Kansas, we were bang, bang. We scored the first drive out at half and really controlled the third quarter in both those contests. And in the last 3 weeks, some of it's who we're playing, some of it's some mistakes that we're making. I think it's a combination of both, but we haven't played very well. And you can't just sit back and assume it's going to change. You got to do something about it.
From a program development perspective,
You look at Baylor, what Matt's done there from Temple on.
I think that's unique. That's a unique situation. He's done a phenomenal job.
Do you see, what are some of the things that you like about how they built the program? And obviously, they're here and you're down here getting to that point.
Well, the thing about Matt, and I'm just getting to know him a little bit, so I'm just watching him from afar. We don't have a close relationship. Is he has not blinked. Like, he had a plan. I think it speaks to him because he really had a couple opportunities at a couple different Power 5 jobs leaving Temple. And he chose that Baylor situation. So I think he went in there with a vision for what he wanted. He didn't blink. He never lost his way, you know, through that 1-11 season. Man, they grinded out 7-6 last year. And now if you look at their roster, you know, I think they start eight seniors on defense maybe, a couple juniors, and then 5 seniors and 3 juniors on offense. And so now those two years have really hardened those kids, and they got some fight. And we'll talk more about Baylor because I know several of those kids on that team. But that's the thing. He didn't blink. Had a plan, attacked the plan. Nothing swayed him off that plan. And so that's probably as good a compliment as I can give him.
Played a lot of freshmen like you're doing now.
He did. He played a lot of freshmen in year one. And those guys are highly productive players right now. You know, Charlie Brewer, the receivers, on and on.
Some things you can't do in practice that hit you in a game, like the Sooner Schooner tipping over.
I can laugh because nobody got hurt, right? Nobody got hurt. Yeah, right. I want to make sure I laugh because that was a scary piece because it really happened kind of about 20 yards in front of me. I just happened to be standing there, and it goes down. And then I was worried because they left one person in there when they were carting the deal off. But I don't think anybody was hurt. So.
But in all seriousness, when something like that happens, like, what do you have to do when there's a delay? And then did you get any reassurance the field was going to be fine?
Yeah. I just asked the guy on my sideline. I said, "Hey, you know, what's the field look like?" He went over there and walked. He said, "Hey," he goes, "there's a couple divots, but he's like, it's like somebody hit an iron shot out there." Is basically what he said. And then the delays. There's so many TV timeouts now, you know, that go on and on and on. So that wasn't a big deal. It was like double TV time.
After seeing Oklahoma's offensive line, you know, what do you think about Dante against that level?
I think that he's a work in progress. I think that here's what I think on Dante. If we were sitting here talking about Dante Steele as a redshirt freshman, it'd be a whole different conversation than he is as a true sophomore. Does that make sense? And so when I'm thinking about Dante a lot, like I give him the benefit of the doubt, and I'm thinking like this is really because he played more as the year went on last year, but he wasn't necessarily a guy till late. And so he's had to be a guy this year for the first time. So in my mind, I almost think of him as a redshirt freshman, even though I know he's not. And so there's still some highs and lows. I thought he played better. He did not play his best game versus Texas or Iowa State. For whatever reason, he got real sick at the Texas game and played through it. Not an excuse. He just didn't play as well as he can. Iowa State, he was okay. I thought he played better against Oklahoma. Not as much production. Some of that had to do with what they were doing, and some of it had to do schematically what we were doing, okay? Some of the things they do in the run game neutralized him. But I think he's improving. Everybody wants to snap your finger and he's going to be an NFL player. I think he's going to be an NFL player, but I think the development piece is still there. I am strongly encouraged by his demeanor, his work ethic. I think he's grown up and matured as a person. And so as far as how he won his share, but he lost his share. And I think is the better he gets, and a lot of it has to do with his physical development, understand the position, all those type of things. The longer he's here, the more he's going to win versus the top level guys in our conference.
As a player, as a coach, you've come across good teams. You played LSU, you played Clemson, etc. How good is this Oklahoma team?
Well, I said this after the game, and I think the easy thing to do is after you get beat pretty good is you give a lot of credit to the other team. But I really felt like this going in, and I actually I was talking to Joel Klatt in our Friday broadcast meeting, and I think this is. I'm not saying that they're the best in any necessary phase. I don't know if this is the best offense Lincoln's had. All right, I do think this is the best team they've had, and I've just watched last 2 years as fans. Okay, but I have paid attention because Lincoln and I do have relationships, so I've paid attention to their team. All right, but I think this is the best team and best opportunity they have to compete and win the whole thing because defensively they're better. Special teams, as I think they have an opportunity to be elite. Their specialists are good. Coverage units are good. They got a bunch of guys that can run. Their returners are special. So I think this is the best opportunity they have. Now, to win the thing, you got to have so much. You got to have things fall the right place for you. You got to make sure your team stays up. But I do think they have an opportunity. I do think that right now that they're playing extremely well. And I think, and I don't want to speak for him, but I think they have areas they can improve on as well.
The punts, there was a confusion on one. I think maybe they almost got it right before the block. And then, I don't know, it looked like you did some new stuff and that maybe missed Josh up front after he went out. Anything in particular happened there that?
Yeah, so I'll talk you through it. We've been really good on our punt team. Going into this game, we've been really good. So the first problem is when you punt 11 times, that's an issue. All right? So there should be no game where you had to punt 11 times. But we punted 11 times. Actually punted at 10 because one time we faked it. All right, so when you go in there, they're going to get a beat on what you're doing when you punt that many times. All right? And so we had an issue right before the half where we mis-ID'd it, okay? We mis-ID'd it. They came close to blocking it. So we got that corrected. We go back out, and really Josh, the one he pulled down, he should have just punted it. For whatever reason, he pulled it down. I can't explain it. He got it off, so it wasn't a tragedy or anything, but he got it off. And then the block, what happened is part of it's my fault and part of it's communication. All right, from a schematic standpoint, we were doing one thing different. If I had, in hindsight, if I had to do it over again, I wouldn't have done it. So that's on me. And then we just didn't do a very good job communicating. And I think part of it was because Josh wasn't in there. We had some new bodies in there. Okay, but I don't want to lose track because we had, one blocked and one that looked kind of funny because he's running around. That I think we've done a really good job through 6.5 games on our punt team, and so we're going to make some adjustments, a couple personnel changes, but I feel good about that unit.